Hey friends! Okay, today we are going to talk about everybody's favorite topic in the new year, which is taxes. Yay! Okay, nobody's excited. But I want to give you some tips and some things. I'm going to be honest with you, talking about this. Okay, my mom friends on here are going to relate with this. This is my equivalent excitement about talking about taxes. Do you guys, if you have kids, you know that this is the thing that irritates me the most. Like there'll be a little end table or like their little cubby hole where they keep their coats and stuff. And they have all this annoying crap in there. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. So I actually went to my kids' like little coat locker and I just pulled the first 5 things. And at any given moment, these 5 things are just in random places in my house. It drives me insane. Okay. So let's just take a look at the hand here. We have a hard eraser. Okay. Have we ever erased with this eraser? Probably not. We have hair clip. We have a dice. Who knows? It's probably from some game that, someday 5 months in the future we'll try to play and we'll be like, where's the dice for that? And then I don't even know what this is. This is going in the garbage. It's like some broken thing, probably from something they 3D printed in our basement. Okay, that's just gonna go. And then, of course, are you really a mom if you aren't stepping on a Lego at least once a day? Okay, so I got this like Lego brick and this Lego guy. So the little things like this are annoying sometimes to deal with. It's not necessarily hard to deal with them. It's not complicated to deal with them. It's just not fun to deal with them. Okay, so that's me and like taxes in your business. And I want to say that and give that analogy because people get all like, oh my gosh, taxes, it's got to be so hard. You guys, taxes in your Mary Kay business is not that hard. You just have to know what to keep track of and what to do. Now, I want a full disclosure this. I am not and have never been a tax professional. Okay, you should not hire me to do your taxes, nor am I going to give you actual tax advice. Okay. You need to work with an accountant to get you that advice. I'm simply just going to give you some tips on how to get organized for your taxes. Okay. Do you see the difference there? Just like you wouldn't hire me to fix your plumbing, even though if it's needed, I know how to unclog a toilet and I can like change the float thing, in the back where you lift it up and there's that float thing that's not working. That's what I know how to do. But you wouldn't call me to, to fix the plumbing in your home. Same with this. So that the tax advice and or just getting organized for that I'm going to give you today is all I give. Okay? So please, please, please do not call me on April 14th freaking out about your taxes. You need to either, set yourself up on a program like TurboTax, hire a tax professional to help you. My opinion on this, people get all like, oh, I don't want to spend the money to hire an accountant. You guys, if you're doing this business, like consistently and you like it and you're going to be doing it year in and year out, friends, like stuff like taxes, I don't mess around with that. It's like it's tied to the government. You can get in trouble. I mean, why wouldn't you hire someone, in my opinion, to help you with these things? But when you do hire someone, the thing I do want to tell you is make sure that they have an understanding of a business like Mary Kay, because the way that we figure our cost of goods sold calculation is different, and sales tax, because our local states, if you live in a state that has sales tax, some of you lucky ducks don't even have that, Mary Kay remits it on our behalf. And so sometimes like, tax professionals and preparers will get confused by that. So make sure that they understand a business like this. Okay, all the disclaimers aside, here are some tips. Now, if you are like, oh my gosh, I totally blew it this year, I was not organized, great. Okay, my first year I wasn't either. These tips are going to help you be organized in the new year. Okay, so a couple of things to do right at the end of December, beginning of January is a lot of people recommend you take a picture of your car odometer so that you have like the total miles and proof of that. If you switched cars, it's fine. You can do it on both cars. Like if you switch cars halfway through, or if you didn't get the photo because your car like blew up or something, it's not a big deal. I mean, you just have to have like a log of your mileage. which I'll get to that in a second, what I do for that because I like easy. Okay, so doing that, also taking account of your inventory. If you carry inventory, if you don't carry inventory, you don't have to take account of anything because you don't have anything to take account of. But if you do have product on your shelf, be ready or in process of being sold, meaning it hasn't sold yet, but you're keeping it as inventory. It's not like the stuff you keep in your personal stash up in your bathroom. That's not inventory. That's like stuff for you. I'm talking the stuff that you're going to sell in the future. And the reason you need that is for that cost of goods sold calculation that they make with your taxes. So it's really complicated. It's basically like how much you had on your shelf, how much you ended the year with last year, minus what you sold divided by something else, blah, blah, blah. Who cares, right? It's just you have to have it. You just have to have it figured out in terms of how much retail is sitting on your shelf right now. There's no have to way of doing this. You don't have to show this to the IRS like the spreadsheet or whatever that you counted your inventory. You literally just have to count your inventory. So I remember the first couple of years I did this, I just took a notebook into my inventory closet and went 10 of these times 26 bucks, 260 retail, right? Now we've gotten smarter and we have these fun things. So I'm going to show you this year. Well, we just finished 2023. This is relevant information no matter what year it is. But typically, some brilliant minds will come out with this inventory spreadsheet. So I'm going to show you mine. Yeah, so this has, where somebody brilliant put it all into a spreadsheet for you. So like you could just come in here, go on your shelf and say, oh my gosh, I have 5 miracle sets. And then it calculates it for you. That's kind of happy. And then, when you get done into the bottom, it'll calculate the total. And this is the number that you need is your total inventory. So you want to do that as close to the end of the year, beginning of the next year as possible, because otherwise if you start selling product in January, you're going to have to start subtracting that or adding that back into your total inventory. It gets confusing. So just do it right away, be done with it. Usually those, first couple like New Year's Day where it gets a little slower, it's a good time to do that. So that's that piece of counting your inventory. Okay, nobody's confused. It's easy. It's literally just going in your closet, looking at it and going, and you don't have to know. Here's what makes it really simple. You don't have to itemize by color, right? You don't have to go, I have 5 iris eyeshadows and 10 candlelight. You just go, how many eyeshadows do I have times the amount that they're worth, right? That makes it way easier unless you're someone who actually wants to know all of that, like piece by piece. Now, I will say there are computer programs that you can purchase that keep track of your inventory. My customers does that. I don't use any of those. Believe it or not, this is a funny thing about me. I'm a super techie person, right? Like I made my own website. I love doing YouTube videos. I host my website out of a home server in our basement. My husband and I are dorks. Like we are not cool. We are not cool. Like we are nerdy. We have a 3D printer in our basement, but sometimes the things that I do aren't techie at all because sometimes it's just easier. And I would rather spend my time booking appointments, holding parties than stressing. Every time I ever tried to use an electronic inventory management system, it would always get off because I would forget to enter something and it would just loom over my head all the time like, oh my gosh, I didn't enter something and now my inventory is off. You know what the Emily Schutte method of inventory is? I have my inventory on a glass shelf in my in a closet, and I just look at it. I just look at the stacks. I'm like, well, that stack's low, and I sell a lot of that. And I've been doing this business long enough to know what I need and when I need it. So, so that's how I've done it. It's worked fine. It literally has worked fine in 19 years of doing this business. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about mileage. Mileage is for sure something you want to keep track of because the way that our business works, right, or any business for that matter, is you have the income you make. So like when you sell products, I've got some orders on my desk that have to go out today, right? When you sell product, you make money and money is taxable. But when you have deductions, it lowers the amount of actual income shown so that you don't get taxed on as much. So you want to have as many deductions as possible. And what's cool is you can show a loss tax-wise, but it doesn't mean you didn't make money, right? So some of these deductions are really cool things that businesses get to take advantage of. Mileage is one of them. Mileage is 60 some cents a mile right now. So anytime you drive where the purpose of your drive is for business, or you conducted business on that drive, how do you keep track of that? You know what? You can go old school and just keep a tiny notebook in your car and just write, what you did and, how many miles it was. You can write it in your date book. I did that for many years where I would just, in my date book, if I did a drive, I would use like a colored pen and just write, I would circle the party and then put the miles. Now, you guys, we've got so many fun technology things. I use something called Mile IQ, MILEIQ. It's an app on your phone. There is a free version and a paid version. I have the paid version because I drive a lot for my business. And you guys, it's actually a lot of fun. I call it Mileage Tinder because it just sits, I don't know, you probably can't see this. Oh, you can't. It just sits in the background of your phone, and it runs, right? So it actually calculates every drive you ever do on your phone. And the reason I call it Mileage Tinder is because you swipe to classify. So if it's, and it's backwards on Zoom here, so I have to watch this. If it's business, I swipe this or this way. If it's personal, then I swipe this way. So, and you just sit and like classify your drives. Isn't that cool? And then you can also, they have other subcategories. You can get a little more involved with it, but it's just swipe left if it's business, swipe right if it's personal, and it does the calculation for you. It even calculates how much of a deduction you'll get just from classifying those drives. And so it's kind of fun if you're competitive and you like to see things and you like to win. I don't know. It's kind of like a video game to me. So Mileage Tinder, Mile IQ. There's other mileage tracking apps like that too. That just happens to be the one that I use. How do I keep track of my receipts all year long? So one thing you need to do is keep track of your expenses. Anytime you buy cotton balls for your business, for example, or bubble mailers, or I don't even know, pens that use, printing. Let's say you do a bridal fair, you can put that under advertising. Those are all expenses that you'll need to keep track of. If you're a new consultant, girl, this does not have to be hard. Just buy one of those accordion file things, the plastic ones you can get at Target for probably less than $3, and put labels on it. You don't even have to do that. Honestly, like my first couple of years, I think I just threw all my receipts in one thing and then, figured it out at the end of the year. You want to be a little more organized than that? I would recommend making labels for each one of the accordion things. So like, one's advertising, one's office supplies, one's printing, one's meeting expenses, or whatever. Now, if you're wondering what those categories are, I'm going to get to that in a second. But that's all you have to do. Like just put the receipt in there, save the receipt step 1, stick it in there step 2. Okay. So we're keeping track of things. What I do with my receipts, if you don't have a lot, right, it's not that hard to add it up at the end of the year. Once you've been in for a while and or you're going for more of a leadership role in Mary Kay, you want to keep even better track of stuff and automate the process. I actually have a receipt scanner. Okay, here, I'll show you. It's kind of messy on my desk over here. It's this thing right here. So I just put the receipts in and it scans them. And here's what's cool about that, you guys. It actually reads what's on the receipt and automatically inputs it into a database for me. So it like makes it super easy. Now, I've had that thing for 14 years. I know you're going to ask me what it is. It's called Neat Receipts, N-E-A-T, Neat Receipts. You guys, there's so many options now. There's like apps on your phone where you can just take a picture of the receipt and that counts. And here's why I like that too. The IRS counts digital copies of your receipt as proof of the receipt. Otherwise, you have to save that stuff somewhere in your house. This is the other reason I like to do it digitally, because I don't want to have boxes and boxes of sales slips, order sheets, receipts from Walmart for cotton balls that I have to keep around for 7 years. It's all just digital and it's backed up to the cloud. Okay, so if you want to investigate that, go for it. Otherwise, girl, just add up your receipts. So that's what I would recommend for that. Okay, so how do you know what to do come tax time? Well, so you have all this stuff that you saved. Now you have to kind of compile it. So first off, with our business, we file a Schedule C form, is what it's called. Okay, again, I'm just telling you how to organize it, guiding you in the direction. Schedule C form. Don't panic. It doesn't have to be hard. Everybody's panicking. So I have this great Excel document that actually is from an accountant, the one I use. And even if you use a different accountant, which you probably do because mine doesn't even take new clients anymore, excuse me, if you fill this out and take it to any tax professional, or if you're using TurboTax, for example, this form follows a Schedule C. So if you fill out what's on this form, then you're going to know what you need for the Schedule C. So this is how you're going to get organized for it. Yay, we love to be organized. Also, it's going to give you an idea of what do I need to be more organized about? Or this could be how you create the categories for your accordion file. So I'm going to show you the sheet here. And I do have this on my team website, which is emilyschutte.com. Okay, so here is the income tax itemizer, is what it's called. So this whole section A is how they figure out the cost of, well, and B is the cost of goods sold calculation. So if you can't understand it, girl, don't worry about it. Just fill these things out. So this does not have to be hard. If you just read what it says, we don't need to panic. So number one, total of all your sales slips, meaning actual cash that you collected from customers. Put it on this line, okay? Now I'm gonna pause here for a minute because here again, we're like, oh my gosh, everything I've sold. How do I keep track of that? Ready for the Emily Schutte method? Okay, again, techie girl here. I love to keep this simple. Okay, so when an order comes in, so I have this customer order actually today that has to go out, okay? So Anne, she's a great customer. You know how there's multiples of these things? So I will take one of these, I'll actually take this middle one off and give it to Anne in her order. So she has a receipt, okay? That's great. I'm gonna rip this back one off and throw it away. I don't need this. I don't need the papers in my file to be thicker if they don't need to be. So it's literally just the top sheet of Anne's order. And, okay, you ready for this? This is what I do with it. I have this, I think you can see this. Oh, my leg's in the way. Okay, and I have weird pants on, just ignore that. You know how it is, you gotta be business on top and mom on the bottom. Okay, so I have this like accordion file in my desk drawer. Okay, and I have a folder. This is how I label it. It's not even that good, right? It's like some random post-it note. And then it has all of my sales tickets from 2023 in here. Okay, and so what I do to get that number is I literally take out this stack. Okay, and I open the calculator on my computer and I just start plus, and flip the sheet, next sheet, next sheet. You might think there's got to be a better way. Girls, I'm telling you, I do quarter sales every year and then some. Like I actually almost did double quarter sales last year. It takes me less than 20 minutes to do this. Maybe a half hour if I'm like distracted and looking at my phone, a half hour, right? How much time would you spend throughout the year entering every single little order into some spreadsheet? Now I do enter, I am very good about keeping a business tracking register to figure out my profit, but that does not involve me adding every single color of product to every customer's name. You can do it however you want. I just like to keep it really simple and have less admin stuff and paperwork because I want to be doing the other stuff, right? Which is part of my success is that I'm out like holding parties and seeing people and doing virtual appointments and recruiting people, not sitting in my office pushing papers, right? So figure out whatever system works for you. It does not have to be the way I do it. You have to do it the way your brain is wired, but I just want to give you some freedom that like it does not have to be fancy. Okay, so that's what I will put on that line there. And if you refunded anything to customers, you put it here. Well, if you didn't, put a 0. Any other commissions and prizes from Mary Kay. And now Mary Kay will send you nothing unless you had $600 in prizes sent to you, or you ordered 5,000 or more wholesale in a year. Otherwise, you will get nothing. That's another thing. Usually on April 14th, I get someone who's like, I'm still waiting for Mary Kay to send me a 1099 or a W-2. And it's like, girl, first off, we don't work for Mary Kay. So we're going to get nothing from them unless you meet one of those two criteria. It's up to us to, again, take our sales slips like I just showed you, add them up, put how much inventory is on our shelf. Here's all the expenses we had. That's how we figure out our taxable income, right? Okay. So, and then, here's where you would put your, when you counted your inventory last year, if you were a consultant then, you would put the amount from last year. I always get that off my taxes from last year. If you're a new consultant, it's basically zero because you weren't a consultant, or you just put your year there. And then your product purchases. This is a number you will be able to get off InTouch after or by the end of January, I believe. They have it under reports, under the income advisory statement. I think everyone gets one. You just don't get it mailed to you unless you have 600 in commission or 600 in prizes or 5,000 in wholesale ordered. And then your ending inventory. This is where you're going to put your inventory that you counted. You guys, the rest of this is just like, how much did you spend on gas? How much, advertising, which would be anytime you do a lead generating thing. I always put that under advertising. Some of these might be zero for you. Maybe your director does, meetings virtually. You don't have to pay for meetings. So that's zero. If you purchased any equipment like a computer, any insurance for the business, most of this is super self-explanatory. The rest of it, you can work with a tax professional if you have questions, right? Like this gives you at least the info that you need to compile the correct information so that you can get your stuff figured out and filled out. So it does not have to be hard. I usually, if I just, say I'm going to today is tax day. The whole day, I'm just going to work on it. It takes me a little longer because I have a little more complicated stuff and I have, we own a rental home and we have some other things. So it's not just Mary Kay. I have a lot of other things that my husband and I do. But I mean, if you just had a Mary Kay business and you weren't a sales director, it should not take more than a few hours at tops. Like if you have a lot of inventory to count, that's going to probably take the longest, but you could get this done like pretty quickly. So anyway, I hope these tax tips help you, keep you organized. And if not, you know what? It's a new year. Spend like 5 minutes just getting organized, getting that accordion file, figuring out how you're going to, record your mileage and have a more successful 2024. And next year it's going to be so much easier. So hope this helps.